All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Michael Scanlon. I just want to welcome you all tonight. I'm here with Claudia Bouchard, and we're going to have so much fun. We're here to really talk about a lot of great things we really feel young adults and families should know. And that really is about everything from reading healthy food labels, learning about healthy food choices, how do you eat well on a budget, understanding maybe how to read food labels, and really everything in between. So Claudia is amazing, and you're going to think she's as amazing as I know she is. She did a great session for us a couple months back on food safety, and we'll make sure we have that access for you all with links later on. But I just wanted to do a little quick housekeeping. The session obviously will be recorded. I'm going to let someone in here. And we will, Claudia, will we have time for questions near the end? I'm sorry, I know we did questions last time.
Yes, always.
Okay, perfect. Yep, we will have time for questions. I may have a few by the end. And I think that's it. Claudia, I know you should have screen sharing permission.
Okay.
So whenever you are good to go, and I just want to again, thank everyone for attending, and I will be monitoring the chat. If anyone wants to pop in on the chat, I'll be your assistant with that, Claudia. Thanks so much.
So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I know that is a busy Tuesday afternoon, so I appreciate your being with us and learning a little bit about how to read food labels, as the FDA has changed how they're going to do the labels. They're revamping the curriculum for certified teachers and professionals on that, but also like we start seeing a lot of new labels, like, side by side, and it's like, what is that? So I will give you a brief explanation on that. And also, how to shop in a budget, right? The economy, honestly, seems like the paychecks don't really help get into the week-to-week grocery shopping that we have to do. So, a couple of ideas of how to maximize your hard income. So I'm going to share my screen. Let's do this. There we go. And I have a quick PowerPoint that I created specially for this, that shows a little bit of, so is everybody able to see the presentation? Can you give me
good,
thumbs up? Good, awesome. Okay, so a little bit about myself. A couple of years ago, I did a food science certification with the FDA. I have my undergraduate is in biochemistry, cellular molecular biology, chemistry, and then I decided to go back to graduate school to become a science teacher. I figured that was the most benefit that I could do, teaching young adults, middle school and high school. So I'm a secondary science teacher. And, something that sometimes we don't put attention, it's like, a lot of those students are home alone and they're making those choices. What should I eat? I'm hungry. They just came off from school. Mom and dad are working, or they have to care for their little siblings. So by having the certification, it really helped me teach my students on how to be better, take better health for themselves, what to cook, how to cook it, and so forth. So that was a little bit about me. So today, I need to go forward. There we go. There we go. I'm going to share again. Okay. So the objectives for this workshop is that participants will be able to really decode the food labels and provide you with a list of ideas that can help you shop in the budget. So as part of this little workshop, I have lots of food items that have, the new labels, and some of them that just have the old labels. So that way we can, look through them and figure out what are the similarities, what is different. There is a lot of information in those labels, and there's some things that we really, like when you're shopping, you cannot be looking at everything. So what is important from that label to remember? So what are food labels, right? So that's the written label that you may have in a package, right? Most of this is just a little, everybody loves ramen noodles. And the food labels is all the information that is included in the back, right? Most food have it. If even the soda cans will have the food label. Even your vitamins, right? The vitamins that you take every day have a lot of information on what is in them. Velveeta cheese. So everything, this is one of the newest food labels. It has both. So a lot of the produce does not have food labels. So like the fruits and vegetables, those don't have food labels. And it is kind of tricky to know like what is important from that label that I need to know, that I should be eating more or less. So I included this picture that it shows here, like what is important, right? So if we start from a food label, I'm going to make a big one. So like the oats, right? So this is a big canister of oats. In the side, this is the label, right? So the nutrition facts, right? It tells me the calories, but right on top of there, it tells me how many servings per container, right? For this is kind of obvious. We're not going to eat the whole things of oats in one serving, right? But for some other things like the soups, many of the soups have 2.5 servings. And many times, you know, we prepare one and we eat it all. So we're not really eating one serving, we're eating 2.5 or 3 or more. So that's something that for you to take into account. How much should I be eating of? Okay, there we go. So there are things that we need to look at when we look at those labels. And I did the little googly eyes so that way you can, you know, those are really things that we need to put attention is how many food servings are in those containers. So I have this one. This is another Campbell's tomato soup. The same thing is 2.5 food servings. Okay, so this should be like eating for 2 people and having a little bit of leftovers. Those are things that we need to take into account because if not, we're overeating. We're taking a lot more calories that we need to. So I have this little picture here showing like, you know, what is a normal serving of like, you know, having a soda can, right? Or having the entire soda, right? Sometimes with big things, we can figure out we are not supposed to eat them all, but some of those packagings are very deceiving because like, who wouldn't think like this pouch of Velveeta cheese, right? You would think that this is just one serving, but as a matter of fact, is not, is a lot more. So those are things that, you know, when you're at the store, you need to look, you know, put attention on, you know, what are you getting? So I'm going to move on to the next slide. So things that are not good for you. So I did thumbs down, right, is the amount of total fats. It could be saturated or trans fat, the amount of cholesterol, the sodium and the sugars, right? So as we see, I wanted to compare those 2 soups, right? So this is the tomato soup, regular. So the entire, so if we look at the amount of sodium in this jar is 890 milligrams. That is a lot of salt. That's the amount of sodium that per serving you're ingesting, right? And if we look at a low sodium soup, it only has 120. So that is like 5 times more. So those are things that you're going to take into account that, you know, when you are trying to buy something, you know, try to find something that doesn't have as much sodium. You need sodium in your diet. The sodium calcium pumps in your body needs those. But honestly, you don't need that much amount of salt in your diet. So, by knowing, well, this one was on sale, well, maybe I can use a little bit less, right? And maybe I'm not going to add salt to it, right? Because we understand that you're on a budget. So, if you find the low sodium option on sale, buy it. Just make sure you get a couple more, put them in your pantry so you have them. But be thoughtful that, this has like 5 more times of salt, that you don't need that. The same with the sugars. This is something that my kids love to drink, and I only buy it like maybe once a year. I laugh about it because it has 46 grams of sugar, right? Yeah, so I got a pack of 12, and I gave 6 to my son, 6 to my daughters, and I'm like, yeah, this is it. I'm not buying it until next year, right? This is like one in a, and the thing is, like, it's okay to once in a while have something that you like, but this is not something that you should be drinking every day, because this is a lot of sugar. 46 grams of sugar for this can. And I will show you how much that looks like, because we're like, well, 46 grams, like, what is that? That is a lot. So I do have another activity that we're going to do. I'm going to weight those numbers in a scale for you to show you how much sugar that is. Or the same with the salt, So those are the things that you should be looking at, which are in the top label, right? The total fat, the saturated or the trans fat, the cholesterol, and the sodium. Those are things that you don't want much of in your diet. Now, there are good things that you want to look at. And if you look at those, that would be the fiber, right? You want to make sure that whatever you're ingesting has fiber. That's good for your body. Vitamins, right? You want to be eating things that are healthy, that have, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, iron. So all those are good things that you should have in your diet. I know that sometimes it's a little bit tricky. You're at the store, you don't have the time to be looking at the labels. So whenever you can do this at home, right? You can kind of like do a pre-shopping and figure out which brands may be the best for you to, and just include those in your shopping list, so that you may pay a little bit more, but you know that you're getting really a healthy food. So the next one, oh, hold on. There we go. Okay. So I wanted to do a demonstration. I especially got some mountain trail mix. Okay, so this has a little bit of everything. I got this one at Aldi. It's 26 ounces for a nice package. But look at the back. Let's see if I can show you. So it's 140 calories. That's good. It's considered for snacks. Something that is less than 100 calories, that's a good number. Anything higher than 100 calories is a little bit too much for your diet. But it depends what you do, right? I mean, if you swim, or if you're a gymnast, you're going to need a lot more calories in your diet. But this container gives you 25 servings. So that means that you can make 25 individual little pouches, and that's the amount that you should eat. And it says here, 1/4 of a cup. So I'm going to open it. And I'm going to get my spoons. Something that you should always do is go to the dollar store and get yourself some spoons and measuring cups. So that way you know how much you're going to be using that food for. So this is 1/4 of a cup. This is what the unit that I'm supposed to ingest, right? So look at it. It's pretty little. It's not much, right? So this is what is 140 calories that I should be consuming. If I'm I'm sure that whenever I eat a lot more than one serving. But look at it. Sometimes it's good to measure it and put it in another container so you have an idea how big of a serving. No, sorry, how big of a serving that may be. So it's very, very small. So that's something that, you know, it is important to be aware of. Sometimes with snacks, I try to be more like natural. I'm like, okay, let me eat a banana or let me eat an apple, right? So I don't have to think about like, oh, is it a quarter? Do I'm eating one serving, two servings, three servings? I'm having a banana, I'm having an orange. So those are a lot more healthy options that you don't have to worry about so much of like, do I'm eating 1, 2, 3, 4 servings, right? And the calories can really pile up, and because it's good. And you should be eating, but try to eat healthy so that way you don't have to worry about it so much, right? So now I want you to do an activity. I want you to go get a snack, anything that you may find at your house, okay? And we're going to like read the labels together and share out our findings to see if that snack is a good snack or is a bad snack, right? Because we have no idea. So I'm going to give you a few minutes. Find any snacks, anything. It could be corn that you find in your pantry closet, okay? There is no judgment here. Anything that you find, and we're going to like decode the labels. Did some of the participants found something good? I'm going to start. So this is one of my favorites too. You know, sometimes in the morning, I don't have time to like, you know, have breakfast because I, you know, it's too early. I have to go to work. So I generally always, you know, have one of those for breakfast. It's easy, you know, I can take it with me while I'm driving or when I'm walking to work. It doesn't require cooking or refrigeration or heating. It's easy. You shake it and you drink it, right? But you know, whenever I have one of those, I have to be thoughtful. You know, this is like my meal, right? I'm not going to have this and then 5 minutes later sit down and have breakfast. So this one has 350 calories. So it's a little bit more than a snack, right? Because a snack should be like around 100 calories. It has 11 grams of fat. 1 saturated fat, 1 polyunsaturated fat, 10 grams of cholesterol. But the good part, right, is that it has vitamin D, it has iron, 4.5 milligrams. That's a large amount of iron. Vitamin A, thiamine, zinc, chromium, vitamin C, phosphorus, selenium, calcium, right? Because that's another good thing to have in your diet, calcium, iron, calcium. It does have 20 grams of sugar. It has 220 milligrams of sodium, so that's okay. And 13 grams of protein. So this is really like a meal replacement, right? So what are some of the other findings? I want to see what other people got and what did they learn from their food label. What did you got?
One of these like protein bars.
Okay.
See, it has like 150 calories per serving, which
which is okay,
Yeah,
a little bit high, but it's a protein bar, right? It's supposed to
Yeah.
give you energy, right?
yeah. You can see it has like 250 milligrams of sodium.
Okay,
There's 16 grams of for the total total carbs are 16 grams.
okay,
The dietary fiber is like around 8 grams of it.
that's really good.
And protein is 15 grams of protein. And
Wow.
so
So
Uh,
that's a really good nutrition, one of those protein bars. It will kind of like be like a meal, right?
yeah,
Good job, Nicholas.
nice.
Does anybody else wants to share?
Yes, I'm happy to share, Claudia. So for me, I have a dark chocolate bar.
Ooh,
I'm a huge chocolate lover. I think it's a family trait in my family. So I always have a couple bars. So for serving, it's about just about like 3 servings in this bar, but per serving, there's 190 calories, which I know you said if anything higher than 100 is considered high, if I remember correctly. As far as fat, there's 17 grams, 10 of that being saturated, no cholesterol in there, no sodium, 8 grams of carbs, 3 grams fiber, and 4 grams of sugar, 3 grams of protein, and 15% iron and 4% potassium.
those are good. A little bit of vitamins, so you don't feel so guilty about eating it.
Yeah.
The problem with that I face all the time, I just don't use 1 serving, right? Like I
Right.
will eat the entire bar.
Right. Yeah.
So those are the things that we need to be a little bit more aware of, right? Because
Yeah.
the more
'Cause I
calories
mean,
we're taking,
yeah, because the entire when you did the trail mix earlier, I'm like, oh, there's no way I'd only have a quarter of a I'd be at least half cup or 3/4 cup. So to know about the serving size.
and that's a good, if you think about it, I mean, this is a good snack, right? This is a healthy snack in comparing with processed foods, right? That we think about, you know, going to Taco Bell or going to Burger King or going to any store that, things that are processed. This is a much healthier option, but still, we need to be aware of the serving size. Does anybody else would like to share? Mary, would you like to share? So something that I did not cover yet is, so generally like, an adult would have a diet that the intake of calories will be around 2,000. That's like the kind of like the normal standard number. So if you think about it, like that means that, the entire day you're supposed to eat 2,000 calories. So that means that, your meals, you have breakfast, lunch, tea time, and then dinner should be around 500 calories, if you have a light breakfast and if you don't have a tea time, so maybe do like, like 800 and then 200 for your snack. So, that really makes you think like, 2,000 calories when you're eating things that have a lot of calories, it's not much. It can add really quickly. So there is this website. I'm going to share it and I'm going to try it. It's called My Plate Plan, and you can start. Does everybody's able to see the screen? So this is kind of like one of the tools that the FDA has, so to make people aware of like, what should be your intake in calories, right? And we have not even touched that there are calories and calories. There are good calories and there are bad calories, right? So if we think about having 1,000 calories in potato chips, or we can have 1,000 calories having a baked potato. Their calories, they're the same number, but the quality of the calories are not the same, right? So this My Plate plan is also available in Spanish. And so you start. And I'm going to do this for my son, okay? So he is 15, so you can do the age. You can change the sex, the weight. So I think he's 130 pounds. The height, so he's really tall. He's like 6'2". And how much physical activity you do. You can do, less than 30 minutes per day, 60 to 60 minutes per day, or more than 60 minutes. So, he's a boy, he does after school sports. So I would say 60 minutes per day, right? And then if you click calculate your food plan, it will tell you. So he should be having an intake of 2,800 calories a day, right? So depending on your age, depending on your height, depending on your sex, and how much activity you do, that can give you, it's not written in stone. It gives you an idea of how much of a calorie intake you should have. Now, it's kind of funny, the holidays, you go out with friends, right? A birthday. I kind of like to eat healthy, so that way when there is those events, I can be with my friends and not have to worry about, did I have 1 servings or 2 servings, right? So I think that if you start thinking how to eat healthy every day, then when you splurge a little bit, right, at a party or a birthday, or, you went out with friends bowling, right, and you had 2 slices of pizza, you don't have to worry about those extra calories because you've been really good all the time. It'll be no problem, right? But if you don't have that control of eating healthy every day, it becomes a problem, right? And that problem is extra calories, that then it'll be extra fat. And then, it's with the pandemic, it's hard to get rid of, go back to the routine of being healthy and walking. This is another one too with chocolate. So you can play with this. You can start over. I would do mine. So you can choose your age and your gender, your height. So when you're a woman, it will ask you if you're breastfeeding or not, or if you're pregnant, because when that happens, your calorie intake is going to double, and that's okay. Your weight, your height. So I'm 5'3", I think. And I do at least 30 minutes. I try to walk to and from work, right? I take the stairs. Those are really good things that you can do to, increase your activity. You can park a little bit farther and walk. You can take the stairs. You can put good music and start cleaning the house, right? Dancing and cleaning. Those are little things that you can do to help. So according to this plan, I should be eating 1,800 calories to achieve a healthy weight and to maintain that weight. So you see, from person to person, that intake is going to be different, right? So if I think that Mr. Phelps, the swimmer, he had a 5,000 calorie intake, right? Because he was swimming hours and hours and hours, right? So he needed a lot more calories. But if we're not doing that type of activity, the intake should be lower. So the healthy things that you can do is, start reading the food labels, right? Think about it. Do I really need that in my diet, right? Having a soda is good, but you can have a seltzer with a piece of lemon, right? So start thinking what other choices you may have to prevent of having those calories. So I'm going to go back to the presentation. There we go. So just bear with me for a minute. I'm going to pause the share. There we go. I'm going to reshare my screen so you get to see it. So do we have any questions as of now? Not yet? I would take any questions as I'm resharing my screen.
So this is more of a comment, Claudia, but
Sure.
when you were doing the food label earlier, it kind of hit me like when you had like the things to minimize, avoid, and then what to focus on. I don't know why I didn't like, it just had like the aha moment, how like the avoiding is more to the top and then the good is to the bottom. I'm like, it's so simple, right? But just at least focus on that. But that again, until you pointed that out, it's kind of like, because I guess I'm so used to seeing it, having it pointed out was just something that made it click a little bit more for me. And then I'm not sure if you'll talk about this later, but one question I do have actually is caffeine intake and what your thoughts are on that, because I've cut back on coffee. I love coffee. I enjoy tea as well, but I know that a lot of my friends like were, you know, big coffee drinkers, etc. So I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Oh, I'm very biased on that. So, you know, I grew up in Argentina. So drinking coffee started something that, you know, I was very young. I would say 10 and 12, and we'll have coffee with breakfast. That was, the difference was coffee with milk. So a lot of milk. So that kind of like is good because you're getting your calcium, right? So in a cup would be like, you know, maybe 2/3 milk and a little bit of coffee. I still have to drink like 2 cups of coffee in the morning. That's my my advice. But I do that too. Like I do a lot of milk and, you know, like half milk, half coffee, so I can have 2, right? I have trained that when I was pregnant, you know, I could not have so much caffeine. And I'm like, I don't think that I can give up, you know, coffee. That's my thing. But I'm like, well, maybe I can reduce, you know, like instead of having 2, 3 cups, I can have half and then another half. I do think that it's important to serving sizes, right?
Mhm.
Unfortunately, like, you know, when I make coffee home, this is my mug, right? And I generally have a look, I never fill it to the top. But when you go to the store, when you go to Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks or, you know, McDonald's, the sizes are huge, right? Like they're so like 16 ounces of coffee. That's a lot of coffee, right? When you make it at home, you know, you make it 6 ounces, top 8. So the same thing, how many servings are in that 1 cup of coffee, right? And like it or not, you want to save your money. So you're like, well, let me get the large because it's on sale, or I'm getting, the, you know, more coffee for the same price, the combo. But you're really having like maybe 3 coffees instead of 1. So that's something that, you know, again, you know, start thinking about how many servings are in that 1 container. I like to make the coffee at home because I like it really strong. So I generally don't tend to, you know, go to the store to get coffee unless I really have to. But, you know, some people like to drink tea. So that may be another option of, you know, if you don't want to take as much coffee, have a cup of tea. But yeah, I would say 2 cups of coffee are good. You know, more than that, it's not good for you. You're always, you know, on edge, stress. But, you know, sometimes if you need to be up, if you have to, you know, do a trip or something, that you need to have that coffee, that caffeine to give you the boost, right? It's perfect. But every day to have that a large amount of caffeine is not good.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And I'll keep this comment brief so I'll give you time to keep going. But I appreciate what you said about build habits, because, you know, healthy eating, it doesn't have to be like all or nothing, black or white, like overnight, like, oh my God, because I can think like that, where like, all right, Michael, time to get like with the program. So I appreciate how you're talking about baby steps, because I know for me, my vice too is coffee and chocolate. And so like I don't know if someone asked me, oh, you can't have that anymore, I don't know how successful I'd be. But if someone said, okay, Michael, just be thoughtful about, try just a little bit here and there, and then, living in balance. So I appreciate you mentioning that, Claudia.
Yeah, I think that the key is balance, right? You don't want to, you want to eat healthy every day, so that way you don't have to make sacrifices, right? If you eat healthy every day, once in a while when you go out with your friends, or if you go on a trip or something, you're like, yeah, I can splurge, because it's not like I do this every day. Okay, let me go to the next slide. Okay, so what were your findings from this activity? Were you surprised what was in the food label? I like this chocolate. It has fiber and not much fat. 1 gram of fat, 2 grams of fiber. That's a good thing. Something good, Nicholas? Did you find something like you were surprised?
I mean, when I was looking at the protein bar, I realized like having a little low of like all of the fat and sodium, even though it's a little high, but it's really really interesting to know how many like kind of servings or anything can be put into a bar and make it
Yeah.
more nutritious.
What else did you find here? That there's calcium in here?
Another thing I found interesting was the calcium, the iron, definitely the protein.
And you need those things, like it or not. I don't think that we're getting enough vitamins and minerals in our diet, right? So I always, just to make sure I have a Centrum, right? But we can choose to have foods that have more iron, more calcium, right? Because our daily intake of those is not enough.
Right.
Okay. I'm going to go to the next slide. Okay. So what to do next, right? Because this was a lot of surprises, and you want to go shopping, but you want to make it simple, right? So always try to read the labels and to use a proper serving size, right? And that's my high recommendation. You can go to a dollar store, Dollar General, get spoons, so that way you realize how much, right, is one serving. What does it look like? Because I like to buy in bulk and just like make my own lunch and snacks for the kids and all that, right? But now, I know it's a quarter of a cup. So this is what it would be, right? A quarter of a cup. Try to make healthy options whenever possible, right? So if you do have the option of having, a baked potato or chips, right? Go for the baked potato. Broccoli or mashed potatoes, go for the broccoli, right? Try to eat healthy foods. Your vegetables, they have a lot of fiber, so that would really help you. And they can be raw, they can be cooked. Try to substitute homemade meals, right? Instead of buying already prepackaged things, because the prepackaged stuff will have a lot of sugars that are added, a lot of the fats, a lot of the sodium, right? And we're talking about by not having those, you're preventing diseases, right? High cholesterol, other things that may be from having a diet that is too high in fats, sodium, and sugars. So the more you can prepare at home, right, that you have control over what you put in, the healthier you will be. I always tend to think like, like I don't add much salt and sugar when I cook. I remember one time I did this wonderful chicken wings, and I called for like, I think it was like 2 teaspoons of pepper and 2 teaspoons of salt. I followed the recipe. It was so bad. It was so spicy. I said, never again. I'm like, I'm not doing this ever again. I'm like, I'd rather use less salt and pepper and let somebody else add to their liking, right? So that way I'm eliminating the amount of sodium in the cooking, right? You can always add, when I said homemade meals, you can add other spices, right? Paprika, ginger, cumin, fresh parsley. Now that the spring is coming, hopefully, you can start a little garden and have, oregano and parsley, a little bit of lemon, right? So you don't really need to add a lot of salt to things. You can add other things that will give flavor without adding calories and sodium. Oh, so those are little things that you can do, at home. And generally, like I like to make fish, and I do like parsley, oregano, and lemon, and that's it. And maybe a little bit of butter, not much, and a little bit of white wine, right? And it's just that flavor. It's amazing. So the fish, everybody's like, oh my goodness, like, what is the recipe? I'm like, I just, lemon, parsley, and some oregano, right? Nothing else. You don't need to add those extra sauces that, they're really nice in the jar at the store, but they have a lot of extra things that they're not needed in your diet. So any questions about that?
Not so much a question, Claudia, but I totally can kind of relate, because I feel like, because I honestly didn't eat healthy. Like I had to take those steps. I mean, I'm talking like I love soda. Dessert was always my main course. Like you name it, I've probably done. But I've noticed in taking those steps, almost like my taste buds resensitized, where like before I needed a lot of salt or whatever, but over time, as I got more comfortable cooking and all that stuff, things tasted better. I don't know if that makes sense to you. I'm sure it might make sense, but for me, it's like now, like if something's too salty or I have something, it just seems more impactful, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. And you know what? It takes time. I'm sure that the first time that you're going to try to make a meal, it may not be perfect, right? It takes time until you feel comfortable, how much should I add? What spices do I like, right? Like one of the things I like cooking with paprika, that's my go-to, or ginger, and they're really easy. I don't have to worry about the calorie intake, right? It gives the food a really good flavor, color too. I like to use turmeric too. Like when I make rice, instead of just being white rice, it's like yellow rice, the color, and just that little extra flavor. I didn't add any butter. I didn't add any extra sauces or sodium, right? So, little things like that, that it will really benefit you in the long term. And also you're not spending money buying those fancy sauces, right? And that's helping you being on a budget too. So I'm going to move on like how to do grocery shopping. It's not easy. It's not fun. Sometimes it could be fun, but it's good to have some, strategies. So that way, when you go to the store, you do a good job at shopping. Oh, I'm going to try to, my computer is getting frozen. There we go. Okay. So a few things that you can do at home. Make a list, right? What do you need? Like, what you need? If you're going to make the grocery shopping for the week, what kind of meals you want to make for that week? And then this is funny, but it makes a lot of sense. Rearranging your list by food sessions, right? Because when you start thinking, well, I need milk, I need bread, I need toilet paper, I need paper towels, right? And then you're like, shampoo, all those items are everywhere, right? And if you go with that list, you're spending time from going to here, to here, to here, to here, to here. When you arrange it in sessions, you know that, okay, from the deli department, you need ham and cheese. From the meat department, you need pork, chicken, and ground beef. From the dairy department, you need milk, eggs, butter, right? So you're grouping all those items that you need. And when you go through the store, you're not spending as much time there. That's the trick, because, you know, that's what stores do, right? They put big advertisement, really nice colors, beautiful displays for you to spend more time there so you can spend more money. So the less time you're there, the more efficient your shopping is. Join all, you know, most of the stores have those saving clubs that, you know, you can access with your phone or the car that will give you the discounts. Read the flyers, right? Every store will have flyers. I also get them every week in the newspaper, right? In the free newspaper, I get all the flyers, and it's like, I have my favorites, you know, so there's some stores that I like better than others. But, you know, look at the flyers. There are coupons inside, so you can really take advantage of, you know, what you need. It's nice sometimes to, you know, go with a friend shopping, right? So you can cut the list in half. They can do half, you can do half. Buy in bulk as much as you can, right? You're doing two things. One, you don't have to go to the store as often because you have the product at home. Like if you're thinking about, you know, meat, you can always cut it, portion it, and put it in the freezer. I know that many people don't have storage, so, you know, but it's much easier to buy, you know, a pack of 4 than a pack of 1. So like I tend to do that, you know, I buy like a big pork loin of maybe 10 pounds and I chop it in 4. So now I have 4 really nice meals. So now I don't have to go, you know, I'm not going to eat pork every day, but at least if I have every other or every 3 days pork, I have it in the fridge and I can put some in the freezer. The price for a bulk may be 30 to 40 cents cheaper. So it adds up, you know, for something that is 10 pounds, that may be $4. So, you know, think about if you have the opportunity to buy bulk, you can do that. Now, if you live with roommates, you know, you can share those costs, right? So it still makes a lot of sense, you know, to buy bulk, cut it, freeze it. Now, when you're at the store, right, stick to your list, you know, go from the session to the session. You don't stop looking here, looking there, because that's what stores do. Beautiful displays that you're like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. I like that sauce, or I like that, you know, new soup, or the new, you know, mac and cheese that they just came up with. So now you're buying something that you're not looking at the label to see if it has a low sodium, how is the fat content, right? And you're spending money on something that you really it was not in your list. So I always go to that, and I always tell my kids, if you don't need it, don't buy it, right? If it's not on the list, it's not on the list. And I love, because my sister, she will like put things in my shopping cart, and my kids used to do that. And then when I went to pay, I'm like, this was not in my cart. So, you know, if you don't need it, don't buy it. I also highly recommend browse the clearance and reduce area. Many times they have produce that, you know, maybe the package got damaged, the product's still good, and it's half price. So like I like to do that many times for like my coffee, right? A dented can of coffee doesn't really damage the coffee, and it's at a much lower price. The same they do have for some fruits and vegetables that, those are the ones that you may have to cook quicker. But the difference in price may be very large. So it does make a difference. Always read your receipts for errors, because there are so many errors, sometimes not in purpose, but the scanner doesn't scan properly, or you're paying for green grapes that were not on sale and you got the red grapes, right? So like mistakes like that do happen, and you can be have to pay the difference of that simple mistake of not putting the code properly. And something that we're very lucky to have in Connecticut that I don't know if a lot of people know or not is the buy get one free law. If the scanner doesn't scan at the price that is displayed or advertised, you are entitled to receive one free item. So that came in effect many years ago, and now it's called the get one free law. So like, for example, if I buy this and is advertised for $9.99 and it's ringing $10.99. So by law, I'm supposed to receive the item for free because it didn't ring on sale. So those are things that, you as a consumer, you need to know, because, hey, that really helps you to be on a budget. Hey, number one, it's not right that it's not ringing on sale. But also, you're entitled to that item for free. So that way, now you will have oats for 6 months. So that's something that, not a lot of people know about it, and a lot of stores don't really want to announce it. But that's a Connecticut consumer law, that, anything that doesn't scan at the right price, you are supposed to receive it for free, up to $20. But yeah, make a list, check it twice, stick to your list. Try to buy things that are on sale. That's always what I say. Look at the flyer, look at the front, look at the back, see for coupons. Those are really key things that, will help you, stay on a budget. And if you like, it becomes like homework, right? You can do it, one day, like, you get the flyers, like maybe on the weekend, you look at it, you make your list, and then you remake your list. And then you can go during the week to get those items. Everybody has their favorite store to go to. I like Aldi, sorry. It's smaller, so I can get in and out fast. I like it because they only have like maybe one type of product. So that way I don't have to be worried about, well, they have 5 different type of tomato soups. Which one is healthier and which one is cheaper? So they only have one. So either I buy it or I don't. So that's my go-to place. But, there's so many stores that everybody shops at a different store, and that's okay. But, take advantage of the flyers, the saving cards, and, knowing your rights as a consumer, right? And always, try to cook healthy, so you eat healthy, so you stay healthy. Any questions?
Not a question, Claudia. I know we're a minute or two from time, and I want to respect everyone's time and yours, Claudia. But I just want to, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with us. I know I learned a lot. I didn't know about the get one free law, so I'll be sure to keep that in mind if something doesn't ring up right. And yeah, just sharing your knowledge and a lot of good information. And I know a lot of young adults and families will really benefit from your knowledge. So I just want to, thank you for taking an hour of your day to be with us tonight.
Oh, no, you're welcome. I really value that I can share this, but this is something that I'm passionate about. I love teaching other people, things that you can do, right? Like I teach that to my kids, like how to cook healthy, how to make good choices when you have snacks. And I'm glad that I'm able to share that knowledge with all of you. And you know, it doesn't have to be a perfect process, you know, kind of like we all did bad things, right? We ate chocolate cake and we drank that really bad soda once in a while, but you know, don't make it a habit. Once in a while, it's okay. You know, don't feel guilty about it, but you know, it's like choosing those healthy options, right? Being more aware of those labels, of those serving sizes. You know, it's great to splurge once in a while to enjoy life, right? But you know, we want to be healthy so we can have a good life, right? Without having heart disease and cholesterol and hypertension. So, you know, little things like that, you know, reading the food labels, knowing how much we should be eating or drinking, it really help us be healthy so that way we can enjoy life.
I could not have said it any better myself, Claudia. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I want to leave time if anyone has any last minute questions. So I'll give the room a second here. All right. Well, on that note, again, Claudia, thank you so much for being with us. I will stop the recording now. This will be posted online on our different YouTube channels, so this can be spread and shared. Please, there's no limit. We want this information to get out to everyone. So, and you're all here because you're on our newsletters and they're connected to CPAC. So, yeah, just thank you so much.